You just casually stir the fish tank with a toothpick. Yet millions of cultivators are kneeling and begging you to stop disrespecting them. Because it's the first time you've fed the fish in 18 years. You actually find a fantasy world reflected inside the tank. You just got home from the hospital right now, staring at the thumb-sized little people in the terrarium. You're completely dumbfounded. Ordinary rocks and dirt can actually evolve into a civilization. That's total nonsense, right? Or does this tank actually connect to another dimension? Your curiosity about this new dimension is skyrocketing. Anyways, you've already been diagnosed with a terminal illness. These mysteriously appeared little people might just bring you some hope. As you're thinking that, you keep your eyes glued to everything happening in the tank. But an hour passes. The little people inside don't seem to notice you outside the tank. You strain your ears to listen in. All they talk about is trivial stuff about farming and daily life. Just when you're losing patience, you hear a line that makes your heart skip a beat. Village chief, in a few more days, the 7 Fiends sect is coming to collect grain as protection fee. Do we have enough harvest for that? A middle-aged little man says with a worried look. Village chief, if you ask me, why don't we report this to the ancestors on Mystic Ice Immortal Mountain? The white-haired old village chief heaves a long sigh. It's not that easy. The 7 Fiends sect isn't some small sect. If we report this to the Immortal sect, let alone whether the Immortal sect people will even care, even if a disciple takes the task and helps us fend them off once they leave, how would the 7 Fiends sect let us off? You hear all this, and your eyes go wide. So this little world actually has immortal cultivation. You even wonder if you woke up too early and are hallucinating. All these things keep happening one after another that completely shatter your worldview. The thumb-sized people inside are still arguing heatedly. I guess we just have to wait for the immortal recruitment in 3 years. Village chief. Do you think our village will have a cultivation prodigy this time? The old village chief shakes his head slightly. Who knows? But looking at the younger generation in the village, Yang San's little girl is super smart and quick. She has that spiritual aura of an immortal seedling. When you hear this, your heart skips a beat. You try to find the young Xinyue they're talking about. After a little while, you find this little girl who's around 12 years old. She has a head of white hair. Even though she grew up in the mountains, she's surprisingly fair-skinned. You can really feel a trace of extraordinary aura coming from her. The next morning, you forgot to turn off your alarm, so you get woken up at 7 a.m. You wanted to ignore it and go back to sleep, but the second you think of the little people in the terrarium, you're wide awake instantly. It's also morning inside the tank. Some of the little people are eating, others are already working. Nothing out of the ordinary is going on. Should I try to interfere a little? It's too boring just watching after all. Curiosity pops up in your mind. After hesitating for a bit, you decide to go for it. You grab a green jujube and reach towards the inside of the tank. Before it enters the tank, everything is normal. But when the green jujube goes below the edge of the tank, you have a sudden feeling. You keenly sense a resistance, like it's pushing you away. But this force is super weak for you. You only push a little harder and break through this invisible film and successfully put the jujube inside. This ordinary little jujube is as big as a giant boulder in this little world. Afraid of scaring the little people, you deliberately stay out of their line of sight and put the jujube far away from the village, in a basin surrounded by several tall mountains. But what's weird to you is the birds and beasts in the mountains don't react at all. Like they can't see your hand. You don't understand why. Maybe the mist around your hand blocks the perception of these animals. That's not important right now, because the green grass you just put into this world has already undergone a huge change. You see mist gradually condensing around the green grass between heaven and earth. A strange light is slowly appearing in the mist. This light is very dense and misty. It glows fluorescent, as if it's everywhere in this little world. It's just too thin to be seen normally. Right now, the green grass seems to have a huge gravitational pull, drawing all these misty particles towards it. The dense fluorescent light is sinking into the green algae. It's getting brighter and greener, and slowly glowing with a soft light. Above the green algae, a dark cloud is slowly gathering, with crimson lightning flashing inside. Thunder rumbles faintly. That looks just like a heavenly tribulation, doesn't it? You're full of doubt. What happens next actually confirms your thought. A bolt of crimson lightning struck down from the thundercloud and hit the green jujube. A crack split open on the surface of the green jujube, revealing its fresh, tender flesh that glowed with faint blue-green light. You catch a whiff of a strange scent out of nowhere. It smells like regular green jujube at first, but it instantly makes your mouth water like crazy. You just had breakfast not long ago, but your stomach is growling violently right now. This overwhelming urge to eat it feels like it's coded in your DNA, rooted deep in the very core of your being. You fight down this hunger, grab a wooden box and swat it at the thunderbolt. Just like before, mist wraps around every foreign object. Neither your hand nor the box is visible at all. The thundercloud is only about the size of 4 fingers put together. You swat it apart effortlessly in 2 quick moves. With the thunder tribulation out of the way, the green jujube keeps siphoning energy. Dense, glowing light flows towards it from all directions, even the mountain villagers working outside the mountain range. Notice this strange phenomenon. They stared confusedly for a full minute before calming down slowly. At the same time, this strange vision in the area has drawn people over. Right from the unrendered zone at the edge of the terrarium, a sharp beam of light suddenly flies out. Right after that, beams of light shoot out from all directions along the edge zone. A rare treasure has descended. This treasure will definitely help me hit the foundation establishment stage. Hurry, hurry! Don't let other people or foreign races get it first. All these voices were filled with wild joy. When the villagers in the small mountain village heard this, they all panicked and froze up in shock. They kowtowed to the people in the sky, yelling things like, "Immortal, please bless us." You watch all this unfold, resting your chin on your hand deep in thought. After I put the green jujube down here, why did all this weird stuff happen? Wait, if the green jujube is already a top-tier treasure in this small world, why does it need to absorb that dense glowing light? That light looks exactly like the spiritual energy mentioned in Xian Xia novels. You can't figure it out, so you push the confusion aside for now. And keep observing, watching these tiny people rushing over to grab the treasure. You don't feel worried at all. On the scale of the terrarium world, they can move as fast as lightning, covering thousands of miles in a single leap. But from your point of view, their speed is nothing impressive at all. Soon, around 10 people gather together. Surrounding the green jujube, they stay some distance apart, floating in midair, wary of each other. Seeing them float in the air like that, you feel a little jealous, honestly. Once the green jujube's absorption speed slows down more and more, the tiny people finally can't hold back anymore. They start fighting. They're tiny, sure, but you gotta admit, all the moves they use are super Zangxia style. Long swords slice through the air. Bright spiritual energy blasts everywhere. All kinds of Taoist spells fly around. It totally satisfies your curiosity about Xian Xia style battles. After about 10 seconds, the green jujube's mutation completely stops. It no longer absorbs the dense glowing light. You reach your hand down into the terrarium. The tiny people who were in the middle of fighting all suddenly change their expressions and scream out loud. Who is this powerful expert? This kind of pressure. We can't win this, retreat fast. A lot of the tiny people only manage to say a couple words before their faces turn bright red, unable to say another word at all. They can't see anything in front of them, but the huge overwhelming pressure coming down fast from the sky is way too real to ignore. They can also hear some unknown thing coming down from the sky, causing the space to shake, roaring like thunder. So they're pretty smart. All of them stop fighting immediately and fly away as fast as they can. If they don't leave right now, that tangible pressure like the sky is falling will definitely crush them into dust. And just like that, you got the green jujube super easily. But when you're about to pull it completely past the terrarium's boundary, you suddenly feel a resistance force, or more accurately, a sticky pulling force. It feels like something is pulling the green jujube, trying to stop you from taking it away. You get a little startled. You almost dropped the jujube for a second. You focus and look closely. You can't see anything at first, but then a thin layer of faint mist appears. There are chains made of strange runes, wrapping around the green jujube. These are what's causing the pulling force. What the hell is this? You look totally confused, but you can't find any answers anywhere. So you just yank the green jujube out with more force, leaving the mist and strange chains behind. Still couldn't stop you after all. After getting it back, you hold it up to your eyes for a close look. It still basically looks like a green jujube, but it seems to have shrunk to half its original size. On top of that, its color is even fresher and brighter. It looks super tempting, not to mention the nice scent it gives off. Oh man, you've never smelled anything like this. A scent so good it makes your mouth water instantly. Wait, is this thing safe? You start to feel worried, but you don't have time to care about that soon. You see the green jujube losing its luster at a visible speed. Its skin is getting wrinkly. In 10 seconds at most, it'll probably turn back into a regular jujube. How can you stand waiting that long? You've got a terminal illness anyway. How much worse can things even get? You close your eyes and pop the jujube straight into your mouth. The second you bite it, your mouth fills with amazing fragrance. You can't control yourself at all. You finish it off in just a couple bites. After it goes into your stomach, you clearly notice that a faint warm current forms in your abdomen. Then it takes your abdomen as the center and spreads all over your entire body. Everywhere it passes, the warm current brings an incredibly comfortable feeling. The whole process is actually really short, but in those 10 or so seconds, your mental state improves drastically. The pain in your body reduces by a lot. It actually works. Too bad the warm current still leaks out through your skin. You can't keep most of it inside. Go to the hospital soon to see if anything has changed. You can't sit still anymore. You get up and head out to the hospital. After a full set of examinations, even the doctor looking at your report looks totally shocked. The cancer cells in your body decreased a little bit, and their activity also weakened. That's all you need to hear. You walk out of the hospital. You look calm on the face, but you can't hold back the wild joy in your heart. This way you can not only cure your serious illness, but maybe even explore the path to transcendence. Become a god or a cultivation ancestor. You head back home. You bury your face in the pillow, letting out muffled and unrestrained laughter. It takes you quite a while to calm down. You go back to the box to take another look. But this time when you look, you immediately frown hard. Something's wrong. In the mountains of the world inside the box, the trees, flowers, and grass have changed. They're all yellow and lifeless. No matter how you look at them, they seem all wilted. Just a few hours ago, they were still fresh and green. Could it be that the fruit I took out used up the energy of this small world? Not long after I took the green jujube out, this change happened. It's hard not to connect the two. What should you do? Your serious illness and that vague transcendence path both depend entirely on this small world. You frown tightly. Logically speaking, since energy was consumed, you just need to replenish it, right? But how do you replenish it? You look at the remaining 10 or so green jujubes again. An idea pops up in your head. There's no other way anyway. Let's give it a try. You pick up the green jujubes, wash them clean, then crush all the jujubes, since a whole jujube absorbs energy. Now that they're all crushed, there's no way they still absorb energy, right? After crushing all of them, you walk over to the box. You look at the mountain range where you put the green jujube before. The mountains are dead quiet right now. All those Foundation Establishment immortals drawn here earlier, all don't dare to stay at all. Same goes for the animals. Then you throw all the crushed jujube pieces into the mountains. They pile up into a small hill, and changes start happening here really quickly. The thin mist you saw before appears again. It shrouds the crushed green jujube pieces, and the crushed pieces change rapidly. They shrink from large to small, then from small to tiny. Then they disappear completely. The yellow wilted flowers, plants, and trees around clearly have a little more fluorescent glow on them. Ordinary jujubes now act like some kind of high-energy substance. They greatly replenish the energy deficit of the small world. It actually works, and the effect seems pretty great. You breathe a sigh of relief. You also start thinking more about this. It seems that making enhanced green jujubes randomly might not be a good direction. After all, a green jujube is just a green jujube. It's not some miracle medicine, but the energy produced after eating a green jujube will leak out. Most of it. A more effective method should be to get a cultivation technique to verify if cultivation is possible. Then, while replenishing energy for this small world, you can make items like the green jujube that contain special energy at the same time. Helps you rest, boosts your physique, and even your entire life state. You nod. You agree with these thoughts in your head. Then you rummage through the fridge for some food, like veggies, meat, all sorts of stuff. Chop them all up. Grind them into super tiny pieces. Then toss them all into the box. Same thing as last time. Everything gets broken down really fast. Those flowers and plants are almost visibly getting more and more purified. It actually works. Just a little bit of a hassle. You nod. You actually thought sunlight is also a form of energy, but this is such a magical special item. Before you've grown strong enough yourself, you don't want it to be spotted and stolen by others, so you'll just stick to these silly workarounds for now. Half an hour passes. You've chopped up everything in the entire fridge. Not bad at all. Looking at the mountains now shrouded in mist, looking super mystical, you feel super satisfied. You can finally breathe easy now. Next morning, you wake up feeling totally refreshed. The pain from your terminal illness feels like it's completely gone. You feel full of energy for the first time in ages. You head straight over to the box first thing. Everything looks fine. You stare at it for a little while, then you head downstairs to buy breakfast. You also plan to grab something on the way, for that little world inside the box to eat. It kind of feels like you're raising that little world, huh? You shake your head and brush off that weird thought. After you finish eating breakfast and feed the little world its energy, you take out a whole intact grape. It's time for it to pay you back. That terminal illness has been a sword hanging over your head this whole time. Just like last time, strange phenomena start appearing. A huge amount of the strange energy in the air gets absorbed, forming clouds of mist. But unlike last time, this round of absorption doesn't cause the same effect as before, where it looked like it was sucking all the energy out of the whole world. Probably because you've fed it enough energy already. Also, more tiny people fly in from the edge of the box, way more than last time. Probably because all the strange phenomena happening here have caught the attention of more people. This also makes you realize that what's shown inside the box is just a tiny part of it. There's way more that hasn't been revealed yet. You just don't know how to make the rest show up. The flying tiny people that came last time dropped random trash and fossils last time, which revealed that their cultivation level is chi refining. They came here looking for items to help them reach Foundation Establishment. This time, there are tiny people stronger than chi refining. At the Foundation Establishment realm, a higher cultivation level. There are 3 creatures at the Foundation Establishment level. One is a human-shaped old man. He looks extremely old. 1 foot's already in the grave, but he's surprisingly fast. He's the fastest out of the 3 Foundation Establishment powerhouses. The second one is a tiger. It's several times bigger than the tiny people. If you scale it up to real size, it would probably be dozens of meters tall. It looks super imposing. The third one is a white sparrow. It's also really big. When it spreads its wings, it's half a body size bigger than the tiger. All 3 Foundation Establishment powerhouses are really calm. They don't say a word. You can't tell what they're thinking. But as you watch them, an idea pops into your head. Why not talk to these so-called Foundation Establishment tiny people? Use the enhanced grape to trade with them for cultivation methods. That's actually a pretty good idea. Worth a shot. You make up your mind. You wait for the grape to finish enhancing. This time, with the 3 Foundation Establishment powerhouses present. The whole scene is actually pretty quiet. The chi-refining tiny people don't dare to get close at all. They don't even dare to look this way. Almost all of them have run away. Only the 3 Foundation Establishment powerhouses remain, floating in the air. They face each other in a triangle formation. After a little while, without a single sound, bright lights fill the space, and glorious light bursts out. The tiger roars and the sparrow chirps loudly. A huge fight breaks out. All 3 Foundation Establishment powerhouses look like the silent, ruthless type. They just fight, no extra chatter. The old man sends hundreds of tiny swords flying around his body. They glint with cold light. The tiger roars, sending out a crushing sound wave. The sparrow flips its wings, sending feathers flying out like arrows, making a sharp, piercing whistling sound. Even though they're tiny from your perspective, they still look super cool. As they keep fighting, you reach down and point at the grape. Because the grape has stopped absorbing energy, it's time to take it back. Inside the little world, the haggard old Foundation Establishment cultivator pauses and looks up at the sky. The other 2 also stop fighting at the exact same time. All looked up at the sky. Years of experience in life and death fights made them sense something was off right away. They just couldn't see what it was. But soon enough, they all felt it. Above the sky, it felt like a giant invisible hand was slamming down hard. The immense pressure squeezed the very space, almost turning solid, as it crushed downwards. The 3 Foundation Establishment cultivators had no power to resist at all. They were slammed from the sky to the ground instantly, making a huge crater in the ground. Dust flew everywhere. That caught you off guard. You quickly slowed down your movement. And because of that, the 3 Foundation Establishment cultivators got a chance to catch their breath. The old man's face was twisted with extreme terror, even on the faces of Tiger and White Sparrow. Obvious fear was visible. They didn't care about the treasure at all. They channeled all their spiritual energy to push away the pressure falling from the sky, and vanished from the spot right away. In a flash, they reappeared and used all their skills to flee 1,000 li away. Only then did they stop in relief. First, fleeing 1,000 li drained all their spiritual energy, so they needed a short rest. Second, they were naturally curious. What kind of powerful expert had arrived to unleash such terrifying pressure? But they were all disappointed. No creature descended from the sky at all. They only saw that giant treasure grape being lifted up by an invisible force. Then roars like thunderclaps exploded. Across the sky, the sound hit the 3 Foundation Establishment cultivators hard like a heavy blow, and shook them up so bad they could barely think straight. It wasn't heavenly thunder. The 3 Foundation Establishment cultivators didn't dare stay any longer anyway. They quickly took healing pills and grabbed their belongings, and bailed as fast as they could. Outside the box, you looked completely helpless. Actually, those thunder-like roars the Foundation Establishment cultivators heard just now were just you talking. Too bad they couldn't understand a word. Plus, they couldn't see your hand either. That was a real headache. If you can't communicate, how are you going to get the cultivation method? You also couldn't see anything beyond this mountain range. Trading stuff through communication probably wouldn't work. You had to think of another way. You sighed and took the grape back, and popped it straight into your mouth. Just like last time, a warm current spread from your stomach to your whole body. It stopped briefly at your liver, then seeped out through your skin. Your body still couldn't absorb much of it. You still had to find a way to absorb all this energy into your body. But hey, it's better than nothing, right? Plus, it's way cheaper than taking pills. So you weren't disappointed at all. You got up cheerfully, ready to do something to fix up the small world. The day passed by really fast. Early the next morning, a big event happened in the village area. Inside that small village, a group of uninvited guests showed up. From what the tiny villagers called them, you could tell. These were the people from the Seven Evil sect you heard about earlier. They were here to collect protection money. When you woke up and saw what was happening, the Seven Evil sect people had already been there. For quite a while, in the open area surrounded by houses, several villagers had been beaten up. Bright red blood stained a large area of the ground. The other tiny villagers were kneeling on the ground, begging desperately, "Sir, we already paid the grain as you asked. Why are you beating us?" The bald leader of the group looked totally disdainful, holding his blade against a village woman's neck. "Say one more word, and I'll chop up this fat pig right here." The scene went dead silent. The villagers were terrified of this vicious man. No one dared to say a thing. At the same time, after you quickly scanned the injured people, you got even angrier. A little white-haired girl was lying on the ground, held in her parents' arms. Her white hair was stained with blood. It looked like she was hit on the head. No one knew if she was alive or dead. You couldn't stand to watch this any longer. You quickly grabbed a chopstick. After all, if you pressed down with your hand, forget about the bald guy. At least 70% to 80% of the villagers would die too. The chopstick was only half the size of the tiny villagers' heads, so you could hit targets precisely inside the small world. The bald guy still had no idea what was coming. He was still spouting trash talk, looking all fierce and aggressive. When the chopstick slowly came down, he finally realized something was wrong. He felt his whole body being pinned down by a force. The bald guy forced his energy to circulate and screamed in terror. "He's here! He's making a move! Help me!" There was no response, only that strange pressure getting closer and closer. The bald guy got even more panicked. He could only scream at the top of his lungs again. "Spare my life, immortal. I was ordered by someone else." It seemed there was a hidden story behind this. But he was holding a knife to the woman's neck. "How could you stop right now? He told me to come here and test. If the unknown powerful being that appeared here exists, and if he has any connection with Youngjia village." The bald guy felt the pressure fading gradually, so he screamed his lungs out. Right at this moment, your chopsticks fell instantly, just by one tiny notch. The blade shattered into pieces completely. You already knew yesterday that your power is devastating in this small world, so you held back your strength in advance. All the blade fragments flew up into the sky, and no one got hurt at all. Right after that, you moved your chopsticks repeatedly to attack all members of the Kisha sect. From their point of view, they couldn't see any changes at all, but they felt something with overwhelming force, rushing right towards them. They couldn't dodge at all. All of them were sent flying hundreds of meters and fell into the mountains like ragged sacks. All the villagers were totally stunned by this scene, though they couldn't see what happened. They could definitely feel that earth-shattering, great power that could stir the whole world. They snapped back to their senses after a short daze and kowtowed repeatedly on the ground, yelling things like thanking the immortal for punishing evil. You were quite pleased about this. Then you hovered the chopsticks above the bald guy's head again. He was shaking like a leaf at this moment, but he forced himself to hold on, not daring to make a single move, for fear that any movement would bring him total disaster. The bald guy knew exactly why he was still alive, so he said tremblingly, "That man knew I was coming here to collect grain, so he promised me a huge sum of money, to let me come test if there was an immortal here. He didn't tell me anything more than that. He only said he would keep me safe. I was being such a stupid idiot, and offended you, immortal. I beg you, immortal, for the sake of my 80-year-old mother, and my starving little kids waiting for me at home. Spare my worthless life, please. Spare my ass? Go reincarnate right now." You finished off the bald guy instantly. Now the crisis was completely resolved. You also breathed a sigh of relief, but looking at the sadly sobbing villagers, you felt a little upset. Those injured people were bleeding so much they probably won't make it. These ordinary people worked diligently every day, but suddenly suffered this unexpected disaster, separating their families between life and death. You couldn't bear to see this. Not to mention, this incident seemed to be somehow related to you. Right as you were frowning, a sudden bright idea popped into your head. Items you put down will be sublimated in this small world, with special strange energy that can suppress even late-stage conditions. Maybe you can try treating their injuries with it. Then you picked a red date and placed it in the village. The familiar mutation appeared in the open space. All the villagers were shocked by this. You stayed alert for anyone with bad intentions showing up. After a short while, everything was calm and safe, but the hidden person didn't dare to show up, which made you quite disappointed. If the person who ordered Shishisek to test dared to show up, you would send him to reincarnate immediately, to eliminate future troubles once and for all. Since you injected energy into this world, the red date's sublimation time became much faster. It finished sublimating in just a moment. The villagers had never seen such a divine object before. All of them were drooling unconsciously and couldn't control themselves. They even walked towards the red date following their instinct. "Stop! This belongs to the immortal!" Without the immortal's instruction, you can't touch it at will. The experienced white-haired old village chief snapped back to his senses first and shouted loudly to stop them. The villagers stopped right away and came back to their senses. Their faces showed panic and shame, and they apologized to you loudly. They are quite honest and simple. You nodded your head and let it go. After all, you can't communicate with them. Luckily, the old village chief was very perceptive. He knelt down with his palms put together and asked respectfully, "May I ask if the immortal dropped this divine object to reward us?" You didn't say anything? They wouldn't understand even if you did. You thought for a second, then controlled the long chopsticks and swiped gently in the air, which caused a rumbling wind sound. The old village chief understood immediately, and his face lit up with joy. "Thank you, immortal." The other villagers followed his example right away, kowtowing and thanking you repeatedly. Then, the old village chief cut the red date into small pieces with a sharp object. He only fed a tiny piece to the injured person. In just a few seconds, the injured person's face quickly turned rosy. It really worked. Your gaze swept across all the injured people and landed on the little white-haired girl. After eating the red date piece, she recovered quickly just like the others. You finally felt relieved and got ready to leave to make breakfast. But right after the little girl opened her eyes, weird glowing chains of symbols started flickering in her eyes. These strange light chains were really mysterious, and they felt familiar to you. When you took out the sublimated Qingzhao for the first time before, these exact light chains wrapped around it, and the Qingzhao created a pulling force. What happened to the little girl? Without thinking too much, you noticed the little girl's eyes looked off. Her gaze toward the sky seemed to have crossed the world barrier and locked with yours. The little girl was completely stunned at the sight of an immortal and cried out in surprise. But almost the very next second, her little face twisted in utter pain. Blood and tears streamed from her eyes. She tilted her head and fainted. The old village chief hurriedly fed her another piece of red date, watching the pained expression on the little girl's face. "Calm down." The old village chief finally relaxed. "Wait, she can see me?" You were stunned. For all this time, no one had ever been able to see you, although you had no idea what was going on. After this incident, you had a sudden epiphany about your path forward. All success or failure rides on this little girl. You remember hearing someone say earlier, many sects will start taking disciples in 3 years. You have to send Yang Xinyue to an immortal sect, but there are 2 problems to solve right now. First, even though Yang Xinyue can see you, her eyes started bleeding right after your gazes locked, and she fainted on the spot. Second, the immortal sects won't take disciples for another 3 years. From what you can tell right now, the time in this small world is synced with the time on Blue Planet. You can't wait 3 years. You sit down in a chair, frowning deeply. You have an idea for the first problem. Since she can't handle your presence, you need to make her stronger. You can feed her some rare spiritual treasures. It's just a few pieces of fruit anyway, no big deal. As for the second problem, you don't have any leads yet. Let's solve the first problem first. Yang Xinyue is still unconscious. You can replenish energy for the small world first. After making up your mind, you got up and ate a quick breakfast, then took a bunch of stuff to the edge of the village. Some small, thin-skinned fruits will be used for sublimation when Yang Xinyue wakes up. The rest are put in a basin, crushed into pulp and placed on the high mountain to nourish the small world. After finishing all this, you went downstairs to collect some gravel, fallen leaves, soil, and other stuff. You also got a megaphone ready. Now you need to keep an eye on what's happening in the small world. With the megaphone, if anything happens, you'll notice it right away. After you got home and ran some tests, you came to a few conclusions. First, both natural and man-made items can be absorbed. Second, man-made items can't absorb energy to sublimate. They can only be converted and broken down by the mist. Third, the conversion speed of man-made items is way slower than that of natural items. Fourth, the denser and larger an object is, the slower it gets broken down and converted. Stones, for example, break down extremely slowly. After summarizing all these conclusions, your next step is to wait for young Xinyue to wake up. But she stayed asleep the whole day until nighttime. You can only wait until tomorrow. It was already late. You got ready to go to bed, but out of the corner of your eye, you spotted the leftover peach pit next to you, and a sudden idea popped into your head. You buried the peach pit in the mountain basin. You stayed up late watching dramas, but the situation in the small village world kept changing. Where you buried the peach pit, spiritual energy floating in the air slowly drifted over. No one knows how much time passed. A small green sprout broke through the soil and poked out. A small cloud of mist condensed above it, and a drop fell on the tiny peach sprout. Right after that, the sprout started growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just a couple of hours, the little peach tree grew from a sprout to around 3 meters tall. Its tender trunk turned a vibrant green and grew 3 branches. Covered in long, slender peach leaves, a tiny pink flower bud appeared at the very top. It looked like something was about to grow inside of it. The growth finally slowed down at this point. But the commotion in this small realm tonight is way more than just the birth of this little peach tree. You put way too many things in today. The massive energy centers around the mountain range and spreads out in all directions. This kind of commotion is really hard to ignore. This is just an ordinary cluster of mountain ranges. But there have been frequent major incidents lately. The first green Jujube Tofang triggered a spiritual energy tide. But this place is remote. Only a few nearby key refining cultivators came to investigate. The second time you put in grapes, 3 foundation establishment cultivators were scared out of their wits here. Plus you put energy stones into the small realm from time to time, which will release spiritual energy. All these successive intense incidents, plus those scared off key refining cultivators, and the scattered accounts from the 3 foundation establishment ones, led to a rumor spreading around. In the Qianhuang mountain range of the Xiaoyun dynasty, an unfathomably powerful great expert has arrived, and seems to be waiting for a natural heavenly treasure that is about to appear in the mountains. The 3 foundation establishment cultivators didn't dare say anything, but their obvious fear and silent attitude, plus repeated spiritual energy fluctuations and other signs, are enough to confirm the rumor. Multiple forces have already been watching this place for a while. They just had a lot of concerns. Today, everyone who knows what's happening in Qianhuang Mountains can't sit still anymore. The fluctuation caused by the energy release is too obvious to ignore. This time it's not just the noob Qi refining and foundation establishment cultivators. Some sects even mobilized all their forces right away, bringing all their sect disciples and rushing over overnight. There are also solo great experts above foundation establishment level, flying on swords from thousands of miles away, cutting through the air, speeding towards here. Forces from all directions are on the move, all coming for the source of the surging. Heaven and earth spiritual energy deep in the Qianhuang Mountains. When the full moon was right at the center of the sky, by the time they arrived, rumbling sounds rolled across the sky, as loud as thunderclaps, mixed with sharp whooshing sounds cutting through the air. On the ground, ferocious beasts were galloping, making the earth shake non-stop. The people in the small village at the edge of Qianhuang Mountains were woken up by the commotion, carefully observed through the windows, all staring wide-eyed in shock. Qianhuang Mountains are located in a remote area, with very thin spiritual energy. It is totally a barren and harsh place. It is usually very peaceful. That's one of the reasons their ancestors settled here. They have never seen such a grand scene before. As the saying goes, anything abnormal is a sign of evil. Most of the villagers were panicking at this moment. Only the kids were cheering excitedly. This godforsaken place actually has quite a few clean and untainted little brats. Up in the sky, a huge flying ship with the flag of Pureblood Sacred Sect flew over. Its hull was as red as dripping scarlet blood. Passing above the village, it was clearly 1,000 meters above the ground, but they still heard the noises from the ground. A few sallow-faced, evil-looking cultivators poked out to look, scarlet light flickering in their eyes, looking like they were ready to make a move. They were exactly demonic cult members. Luckily, not only demonic cultivators were rushing here, there were also upright righteous cultivators. A cold and sharp shout rang out, traveling across a long distance. Even so, the sound still made those demonic cultivators' spiritual energy churn. They felt terrible. Some even coughed up blood. 1,000 jang away from the blood-colored ship, dozens of cultivators were approaching on swords across the sky. The leader was a woman as pure as white snow, wearing a light snow-white robe. Her skin was even whiter than snow. Her eyes were like a pool of clear water, clear and vivid. She had an elegant and noble aura when looking around that made people awestruck. She stood on the flying sword with hands behind her back. Her figure was graceful and slender, standing proudly and straight. "Srewantu, how dare you act violently in front of this venerable one?" Her voice was as cold as ice. She looked over with a cold expression, fighting spirit surging towards the blood-colored ship. Icy fairy light appeared around her, shining brightly. Hearing this harsh question, an old man in blood-red robe walked out of the blood ship's cabin, standing hunched at the bow, laughing sinisterly. "Cold girl, you stay in the ice cave of that profound ice hill all day. Why are you still so short-tempered? Did the too cold environment mess up your period? Oh, right. You have already reached golden core stage. You shouldn't have periods anymore, right?" Before the blood-robed old man finished speaking, a clear sword cry rang out between heaven and earth. A white light suddenly flashed. An icy long sword pierced through space, pointing straight at the blood-robed old man, extremely fast. It arrived with howling cold wind in the blink of an eye. "You bitch!" The blood-robed old man cursed angrily, but he was no ordinary person either. He was already on guard earlier. A thought crossed his mind. A scarlet swamp emerged around him. The ice-long sword stabbed right over, but was blocked by the swamp. It even tried to contaminate the sword. My long sword trembled violently. Cold divine light blocked the scarlet contamination. It still kept stabbing forward, but its speed got slower and slower until both sides were locked, in a stalemate. Just then, a soft, seductive female voice rang out. "You're starting a fight this soon. Let me think for a sec. Should I, a blood venerable, help out?" Everyone looked toward the voice. It was a beautiful woman. She was only wrapped in a piece of red silk all over. Her lips were as red as blood, enchanting and full of evil vibe. Every move of hers oozed evil charm. Lang Si recognized her. This beauty Yao Chunu was originally a red silk magic treasure. No one knew what happened later. It seemed to have been contaminated and seized its owner's body. Her physical state is also at golden core level. Of course, all key figures here tonight are above golden core level. Sure. Shewantu nodded with a sinister smile. With Yao Chunu's help, I'll definitely teach this brat a lesson. Let's take out one early, so that later, we'll have one less rival. The beauty Yao Chunu flashed to join the fight immediately. "How dare you bully us righteous cultivators?" A loud shout rang out, followed by the sound of wind cutting instantly. In the dark sky, a dazzling blade light appeared. Blade chi shot across the sky like stars. The blade force went straight for Yao Chunu and Zwewantu. Before it arrived, the unstoppable sharp blade intent made the two change expressions. Yao Chunu immediately flashed to avoid the blood robe. Zwewantu also controlled his power to dodge and move around quickly. After a split second, the blade light arrived and stopped beside Leng Shi. The sharp blade light in the sky faded, revealing a burly man inside. He was around 3 meters tall, holding a broad blade. Twice as tall as he was, not far behind him, people used broad blades as boats. More than a dozen people were rushing over. "I'm Zhang Mang from Badao sect, and a no-good unorthodox faction. Disciple Yuji and Hongshan, do you two have any comments?" The burly man held his blade, eyes wide open. Looking at Shewantu and Yao Chunu, his aura was really fierce, but his way of speaking was quite weird. He was very polite and courteous. Shewantu and Yao Chunu looked at the burly Zhang Mang weirdly, then looked at the surrounding sky. Since they had a conflict here, many forces were watching them, including quite a few famous righteous sects. They couldn't fight now. They had to save strength and wait for the heavenly treasure. Hahaha, Shewantu snickered, smiled weirdly and waved his sleeve to activate the blood sailboat. "I have no interest in fighting you. Even if we do fight, we have to wait for the rare heavenly treasure to show up first. Farewell." As he said that, the blood sailboat burst out bright red light and rushed toward the basin. "I didn't do anything at all." Yao Chunu smiled seductively and winked at Zhang Mang. Her body swayed in the wind like she had no strength. Her curves were super alluring. But Zhang Meng's expression didn't change at all. He even looked a little disgusted. Her charm didn't work at all. "What?" Yao Chunu forced a seductive smile and floated away as well. Of course, she was also heading for that basin. "No need to thank me. Farewell. I'll go first." Before Leng Si could say anything, Zhang Mang said these 3 lines one after another and left in a hurry. Leng Si looked really awkward. Even so, she still said thank you. Then a woman beside Leng Shi said, "Sect Master, let's go too. We've been delayed for quite a long time." Lei Si nodded, but didn't move for the time being. Instead, she formed hand seals first, quickly conjured a giant snowflake, then covered the small village on the ground with it. When the snowflake landed, it wrapped the entire village, forming a protection array. "Do not leave the array," Lengxi said calmly. Her voice traveled to every corner of the village from miles away. Her voice was naturally cold, but there was also a hint of softness in it. After setting up the array, Lengxi glanced at a certain thatched cottage. His gaze passed through the obstacles and spotted a little girl with white hair. Weird, Lengxi felt doubtful in his heart. With his powerful cultivation realm, he saw through Yang Xinyue at one glance. Her aptitude is just average. But the odd thing is, on Yang Xinyue's body, there seems to be a natural sense of strength. People with this kind of trait are all gifted with peerless talent. Even if they don't have cultivation methods, they should be able to attain the Tao on their own. While Lengxi was standing there confused, the disciple behind him spoke up to ask, "It's nothing, let's go." Lengxi shook his head. He activated his flying sword and headed towards the basin in the mountain range. "That little girl, we'll deal with her later. The more important thing right now is, on the mountains surrounding the natural treasure land, there are many forces stationed there respectively, or solo cultivators. There are also a large number of African demon beasts in the sky. Things are pretty normal for now. No conflicts have broken out, and no one is approaching the basin either. They're only discussing, is this the place rumored to have a great power, and where a natural treasure will appear? Doesn't look like it, just this kind of terrain, surrounded by mountains on all sides, sunken in the middle. It's full of bad luck and damp barriers. It's not the right environment for natural treasures to be born in. But the strange thing is, there really is rich spiritual energy permeating here. Also, I don't seem to sense any traces of a great power either. Could it be a top cultivator that can block our detection?" In the middle of the night, you really can't fall asleep with your headphones on. So noisy, you were half asleep when you kept hearing rumbling noises. It finally stopped with great difficulty. Then another bunch of messy sounds came. It sounded like a lot of people were talking next to your ear. You were completely woken up for real. You checked the time. It's a little past 2 a.m. You look at the headphones that the sound is coming from, and your groggy head gradually clears up. This headphone receives signals from the quartz, which means those noises are happening in the box world. What's going on? Your heart skipped a beat. You got up immediately and walked to the box. The first thing you saw was that mountain. You saw that whole circle of mountains was full of bright spiritual light everywhere. You also saw a lot of floating small boats in the sky, as well as some demons that can speak human language. Isn't this the place where I feed things? You almost didn't recognize it, because the changes were too great. Most of the trees, flowers, and grass in the basin have changed drastically. The leaves, flowers, and grass are shining with bright light. Of all different colors, they're extremely gorgeous. Obviously, with the advantage of being close by, the converted energy was absorbed a little by these flowers and plants, causing them to mutate. What caught your attention the most is that peach tree has sprouted, and it's even grown bigger. You're a little shocked. It grew out in just one night. This fantasy world really can't be judged by common sense. It looks like these cultivators came for the peach tree. You glanced at the small village, afraid that when immortals fight, mortals will suffer. Luckily, the small village wasn't affected. It's just covered by a giant snowflake. You don't know what it is. It looks like a magic formation. You look at the situation in the basin again, although you don't go so far as to think this small world is your own private property. But this peach tree is truly yours, and it has very important research value. You can't let them ruin it. For now, all of them are very far away from the basin, and very cautious. You looked around, took a bag of toothpicks for standby use. If anyone tries to touch the little peach tree later, you're going to throw one to warn them. While nothing's happening yet, you looked over all the cultivators present. A confusion popped up in your heart. Come to think of it, this world is really similar to my world. Let alone the little people, even the demon cultivators are surprisingly similar too. You took a quick scan of the demon cultivators present. There are more than 10 of them. Some have wings but look mostly like tigers. Some have a single horn on their head, scales on their body, and look like snakes. Some are as big as a small hill, covered in black fur and round in shape. At a glance, there are at least a dozen of them. They look very familiar. That's really weird. Could it be this small world has some connection with the world I live in? You can't help but think that way, but there's no way to find out. Shakes his head and looks at the human cultivators. Humans have the largest population, but they are clearly divided into separate groups, so you can roughly tell different factions apart. There are around a dozen major factions. Each has 1 to 3 leaders, plus 5 solo cultivators. All in all, there are over 100 people here. After you take a general look around, when you look more closely, you immediately spot the eye-catching blood-red sailboat. A flag honoring the blood saint flies high on the boat. Not only does the hull emit a weird glow, it is also dripping scarlet liquid. It is really disgusting. This style is definitely a demonic sect. You don't just tell that from its appearance. Also, when many factions present saw the blood sailboat, Golden Core stage cultivators mostly showed strange expressions, most of them frowning in disgust. Cultivators below Golden Core stage who haven't seen much of the world looked scared instead. You hear faint whispers like people are talking about the blood-red sailboat, as if they are accusing the blood purification sacred sect of their crimes. Though you can't hear everything clearly, you can guess what they are saying, which still makes you frown. Leave it be for now. If they mess with me later, I'll do the world a favor and send you straight to reincarnation. You look away for the moment, then you shift your gaze and land on Yao Chunv, who's wrapped in red silk ribbons. You can't help but be surprised. Is this world that open? Walking around with only a strip of red silk on. You look away again and spot a woman in all white robes, holding the long sword Binglin point down. Your eyes light up immediately. Long, straight black hair, total Ice Queen vibe. She exudes a cold, aloof aura. Her looks and temperament beat any internet celebrity or star out there. She is as beautiful as fine jade. Just looking at her is a pleasure. So you look at her a little longer. While you're staring, a cold, eerie voice suddenly sounds. Whether a great power actually exists here is still a rumor for now. But a lot of people showed up today, huh? And there's only one flower bud. You follow the voice and look over. It's the guy on that annoying blood-red sailboat talking. After he finishes speaking, the noisy whispers die down a little, until there's a weird hush. He is right. All the factions here combined have at least 30 to 50 Golden Core cultivators. There's definitely not enough for everyone. Everyone knows that. No one just said it out loud yet. Now that Shui Wantu has brought it up, he definitely has a plan. He stands at the bow of the blood sailboat, cackling eerily. Chow envy the red and all fellow cultivators here. There are a lot of annoying people around. Why don't we team up? Get rid of these losers first, then talk about the rest. Or if we don't team up, we'll probably get ganged up on later. The people he's talking about are all a bunch of creepy demonic people. From all the TV shows and movies you've watched, the people this blood-robed old man is recruiting are all probably from demonic sects. Sure, I don't have any better ideas, since Lord Blood has spoken. Lord Blood is right. I've hated these hypocritical righteous people for ages. They keep getting in our way. So what if we use a few mortals to refine our magic tools? It's no big deal. This blood-robed old man must be pretty powerful and respected. After he speaks, several factions move over to gather around the blood sailboat, at another spot where many demons are gathered. All the demon cultivators are happily watching the show. Humans are gonna fight and bicker again. Gotta say though, the blood purification sacred sect is really disgusting. They always reek of blood. If I wasn't too lazy to fight, I'd go over there and teach them a lesson. Stay away, don't get blood on you later. All the demons move back, waiting for the flower bud to bloom, and watching the show at the same time. Back to the main point. Aside from the demon factions, the blood-robed old man has gathered quite a big group. When everyone hears the demonic cultivator's provocation, they all get furious. Come fight then, a woman shouts. She holds her sword and steps into the air. Her voice is as cold as ice. Shui Wantu, you've committed countless evil deeds and brought suffering to the world. We'll settle all scores today. I'm Leng Shi, master of the mystic ice immortal mountain. When you go to the underworld, tell them I sent you. As she speaks, snowflakes appear around her, making her long hair and robe hem flutter in the wind. It's a feast for the eyes. She raises an eyebrow at you teasingly. This girl has such a cool, aloof vibe, but she's totally badass when she talks. So cool, I'm totally obsessed. Also, you can tell now that the giant snowflakes in the small village are her doing. That said, that must be the protection array. Soon, led by Leng Shi, another person stepped forward. He's a burly man twice the height of a regular person, carrying a broadsword. But he speaks very politely. All of you have committed countless unrighteous acts on normal days. How dare you bare your fangs now? I'm Zhang Meng. Please advise. Right after that, several Golden Core cultivators from different forces stepped out. You demonic sex scums, don't you dare get cocky. Shouts rang out one after another. The roars boomed continuously. Their aura shot straight to the sky. Obviously, many forces have grudges against these demonic sect people. They just held it back before. Now that Suiwantu took the initiative to provoke it, it all burst out at once. Everyone immediately showed their great power. Spiritual power glowed brightly, lighting up the entire dark sky. The atmosphere was super intense, ready to explode any second. Soon, the battle officially broke out. Suiwantu took the lead. He pushed out surging blood waves with both hands, sweeping towards Leng Shi's side on the opposite. The red silk lady's only red silk flew out right away. As straight as a sword. She's completely naked. Many inexperienced Taoist cultivators blushed like crazy. Many demonic sect members also used their own tricks. There were too many to count. The righteous side obviously didn't just stand by and watch. They each countered the attacks. Ice-condensed longswords turned into thousands of snowflakes, floating one by one. They greeted the blood waves like scattered stones, freezing the scarlet blood waves solid. A long blade sliced through the air, cutting apart all the red silk in the sky. Flames surged wildly up to the sky. The air around was so hot it twisted. Some people turned into multiple clones. Some summoned mountain-sized giant treasures. Some struck down with a palm from above. All these tricks were dizzying to watch. It sounds like a lot is happening, but it all actually happened in the blink of an eye. Almost instantly, big trees were cut down by the attacks. Even parts of mountains were sliced off. You were totally stunned watching this. But even though the fight was super fierce, the battle situation was kind of deadlocked. Your eyes landed on Leng Shi, the woman in white snow clothes. She seemed to be targeted on purpose. You only remember the names of two demonic sect people, Robed Shiwantu and the Red Silk Lady. Both were attacking Leng Shi right now. Other demonic sect members also joined in the attack on her. Even with other fellow cultivators helping her, Leng Shi was still having a hard time keeping up. Her eyebrows were tightly furrowed. There was an unnatural flush on her face. The snowflakes floating around her were moving messily. Watching this made you kinda eager to step in, be it her looks or whatever else. You like her a lot. Helping her would be as easy as flicking a toothpick. It's no pressure at all, so stepping in is totally fine. Just when you were about to make a move. The situation changed again. All the fighters' expressions suddenly changed. They almost simultaneously stopped fighting and retreated. They retreated to a safe distance. Meanwhile, far away, the demon clan who were just watching moved closer. All eyes turned back to focus on the basin. Now that everything was quiet around the peach tree, you could also hear soft, tide-like rustling sounds. In this small world, the scene got quieter and quieter. Everyone's expressions gradually changed, going from confused to shocked and ecstatic. The peach tree's leaves swayed without any wind, the dark clouds filling the sky, and mist were drawn over, rolling in layer after layer like tides. The small flower bud was glowing brightly, madly absorbing spiritual power. After each wave of mist tide was fully absorbed by the bud grew a little bigger. At the same time, its absorbing power also increased a little. It then drew from all directions of the world again. Another wave of mist gathered over. This movement right here was what made the soft, tide-like sounds. Spiritual power tide. A lion's shocked exclamation rang out, echoing through the mountains like a thunderclap. Even the well-informed Golden Core powerhouses. At this moment, the giant lion lost his composure. All eyes were fixed on the only bud on the peach tree. It was growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. From your point of view, it starts out the size of a mung bean and quickly grows to the size of a fingernail. It's about to bear fruit. This is way beyond your understanding. After all, you only planted it last night. You can only assume that the fantasy world is just different after all, inside the small world. As the flower bud gets bigger and bigger, Jushu also gets restless along with it. All sorts of thoughts are racing through Jushu's mind. Many Golden Core cultivators and low-level spiritual beings are present. None of the legendary great powers have shown up. Now that a natural treasure is about to descend into the world, and there's still no movement from them. Guess the great powers are just a rumor. If heaven offers you a chance and you don't take it, you'll suffer for it later. Screw it, I don't care that much. This rare treasure has such a wonderful fragrance. It's making the spiritual energy in my body restless. It'll definitely help me break through to the nascent soul stage. Everyone's having all sorts of different thoughts. But obviously they all want to fight for the treasure. Clusters of bright, holy spiritual light burst out all around. Their auras keep rising higher and higher, showing their owners are determined to take it. Before they even start fighting, just the clash of their powerful spiritual energies causes loud, thunder-like echoes in the mountains. You can't sit still anymore either. You got a taste of it earlier. The power of this fantasy dimension. It's pretty terrifying, to be honest. You can't be sure. There might be some fantasy tricks you can't handle. If it gets stolen, that'd be such a huge loss. Alright, I gotta warn these little brats first. But you don't flick the toothpick in your hand yet. You decide to yell at them first. All the little brats here are pretty strong. Maybe they can understand what I say. You just don't know how to put it. You frown and think for a second. And suddenly you get a cringy, chuny idea. Your face turns serious. You say in a low voice, "Stand down." It's ripe! It's ripe! The peach tree coveted by the three realms is finally ripe. Your shout of stand down just now booms loudly across the sky. The sound is so loud, it's like thunder crashing down. Jusho feels dizzy and lightheaded. All the blood in his body resonates with the sound. When the sound fades away, the heavy tension in the air disappears completely. All the cultivators and great demons look horrified and look up at the sky. But what disappoints you a little is they're glancing around randomly. Still, no one can tell where the expert is. Soon one of the little brats speaks up. Judging from their words and confused expressions, they still can't understand what you said. You can only sigh in your mind, what a pity. Then you grip the toothpick firmly again. Aim at the target. Gather a little strength first. Flick it with your finger. The toothpick cuts through the clouds and slams down towards the ground. From the perspective of the small world, it looks like a sharp wooden pole as tall as a person, crashing down with the sound of wind and thunder. It's extremely fast and slams into the ground in the blink of an eye, and that's not the end of it. You keep picking up more toothpicks and flick them down one by one. Several loud booms follow. The toothpicks form a circle around the peach tree. That makes quite a big commotion. What's more, none of the people present felt any spiritual energy fluctuation, nor did they notice where these wooden poles came from. This really shocks all the cultivators present. But what makes their faces turn even uglier is you surrounded the peach tree with toothpicks to protect it. The meaning behind this is super obvious. It's a warning that no one can touch this treasure. This also quiets down the small world for now. Everyone looks at each other, back and forth, stunned and not knowing what to do. You don't bother talking anymore either. They won't understand anyway. Hope they get the hint themselves. After a few seconds, someone finally speaks up. It's that old man in the blood-red robe again. He yells loudly towards the sky. May I ask which fellow cultivator is there? Would you care to show yourself? You obviously ignore him, but your silence makes him think he's figured something out. Golden light flashes in his small eyes. So that's how it is. Suewantu looks very sure of himself. He says with a faint smile. These wooden poles are just ordinary wood. The momentum is nothing special either. There was no spiritual energy fluctuation when they fell. Guess it's just some kind of formation. What he said is mostly correct. The small world barely reacts to man-made objects. That's naturally the case for toothpicks too. So it's totally normal that there's no spiritual energy fluctuation. You're such a freaking attention hog, huh? You're really getting on my nerves. He picks up a toothpick and flicks it straight at Shiwan-tu. The toothpick cuts through the air really fast indeed. But he's at Golden Core stage after all. His reflexes and skills are way better than Foundation Establishment cultivators. Shiwan-tu's expression shifts slightly. He activates his blood-red sailboat quite calmly. I dodged it. Shiwan-tu cackles loudly after dodging successfully. That's all you got. That's really all you've got. I thought you were some big shot powerhouse. Turns out you're nothing special. You think that sad speed can kill me? This innate treasure is mine for the taking, says Shiwan-tu. Laughing loudly, Shiwan-tu activates his blood sailboat and zooms straight towards the peach tree. They're panicking! They're panicking! All the parties present instantly lose their cool. Sure, they're still wary of you, the unseen powerful cultivator, but they can't just stand by and let Suewantu steal the peach. So everyone immediately attacks with their own unique skills. You watching from outside also frown deeply. Suewantu has really riled you up now. You stop messing with toothpicks. You've realized something. These small fries are still way weaker than you. But you're not that overpowered either. Toothpicks just don't go fast enough. They're too easy to dodge. Think it's too slow, huh? Then let's try this on for size. You pull a slingshot out of your storage cabinet. You steady your breathing. You pull the slingshot all the way back and take aim at Suewantu in a split second. Right now, Zewantu's path is blocked. He's still moving around, but only within a small area. You can hit a moving target like that with your eyes closed. As you hold the slingshot pulled back, it creaks under the maximum tension. You let go, with that much force, the pellet flies into the box in the blink of an eye. Given the size of the small world inside the box, that speed is practically faster than lightning. Suewantu, who's busy fending off attacks from all sides inside the box, suddenly feels his heart lurch. An unexplainable sense of impending doom washes over him. The terror of imminent death feels extremely real and intense. Suewantu doesn't hesitate to go all out. Surges of full power blood energy erupt from him. It instantly forms a blood cocoon that grows rapidly in size. The very next moment, a shadow falls from the sky, moving extremely fast. It causes the air to roar and vibrate. It's covered in blazing flames in the blink of an eye. This meteor pellet is even faster than a real meteor. Before anyone can react or see what's happening, The flaming shadow slams into Zhui Wantu's blood cocoon. That old dog Zhui in an instant. The huge blood cocoon is blown to pieces. The explosion is thunderous and blinding. Bloodlight bursts out everywhere, then fades quickly, turning dim and dull. Blood pours down like rain. Once all the blood has fallen, a figure is revealed. The upper half of his body is completely gone, mixed with tiny yellow fragments.
But to your surprise,
This isn't Zhui Wantu. It's that ugly demoness. No wonder you heard a shrill scream just now. You scan the area looking around. Since you have a full view of the entire scene, you immediately spot where Zhui Wantu is hiding. He used some unknown spell and swapped places with the ugly blood demoness instantly. The demoness didn't even make a sound. She died in his place. Right now, Zhui Wantu is standing in midair, his face deathly pale, gasping for air, his face full of terror. His already gaunt body looks even weaker now, and without saying a word, not even caring about his blood sailboat, he zooms off into the distance. You think you can run away from me? You coolly grab 3 steel pellets and put them in the slingshot's pouch. As long as he doesn't vanish from this area instantly, he won't live to see the end of the day. This time he's obviously pushed his speed to the limit. He's moving way faster than before. But you've been using a slingshot since you were a kid? Your aim is top tier. Whoosh, 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 3 pellets shoot out, fanning out to surround Zhui Wantu. That's not all. You grab another 3 pellets, aim briefly, right after the first 3. You shoot them out as well, want some more. Another 3 shots, 9 steel pellets total. They seal off all escape routes like a formation. They strike in the blink of an eye. He can't dodge them all. Amidst shrill, unwilling howls, Zhui Wantu manages to dodge the first few pellets, but one eventually hits him hard, and he ends up just like the ugly demoness. The broken body fell feebly downwards. The remaining bullets trailed red glows. They slammed into the ground like meteors with overwhelming force, blasting out countless huge craters. The scene fell deadly silent. All the cultivators were terrified. Golden Core cultivators can easily destroy a mountain with one strike, that's true. But instantly killing a fellow Golden Core cultivator with one hit, that's absolutely extraordinary. But right in front of their eyes right now, a powerful Golden Core cultivator was killed instantly. He couldn't dodge it, couldn't block it either. What's more, they didn't even see clearly. What killed the ugly demoness and Zhui Wantu? Only after the roar faded away, they saw nothing but a total mess. My aim's still on point. The power's pretty good too. You nod in satisfaction. That annoying attention hog is finally gone. Wait, did I just kill someone? Maybe it's because you know. That old guy in the blood robe did all kinds of evil. Or maybe because those guys are only the size of a finger. You barely feel any discomfort about it. You shake off that weird feeling. You push all those weird thoughts to the back of your mind. Then you don't let Zhui Wantu's forces off either. You pick up 3 rubber bullets, aim at the blood sailboat that has just realized what's happening and is trying to escape. You pull back to the maximum limit. Charred projectiles fall from the sky. Scorching flames spark along their path, just like the heavenly fire tribulation. Even Zhui Wantu couldn't avoid it, let alone these lowly cannon fodders. Boom, 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 the sailboat is blown up instantly. All the disciples of the pure blood sacred sect inside, every single one of them, got killed, no exceptions. Done. You nod in satisfaction again. Then you look at the flower bud. After all this commotion, a lot of time has been wasted. It's about time. The bud has long slowed down its spiritual energy absorption. It's trembling slightly. It looks like it's about to bloom any second. Lots of people are staring at it eagerly, but none of them dare to make a move. Instead, they're all retreating backwards. The bodies of Zhui Wantu and the ugly demoness aren't even cold yet. Who dares to act? You don't even bother with them. You can look all you want, but don't even try to steal it. Steal it and you die. About 10 seconds later, the petal trembles and slowly unfolds. Dazzling light bursts out from inside. At the core of the light is something the size of a fingernail. The moment it fully blooms, an alluring fragrance spreads out quickly. Everywhere the fragrance reaches, flowers and grass sway gently, looking even more vibrant than before. All the cultivators are staring dumbfounded. Some of them are even salivating heavily. It's finally open. You reach your hand down, going straight for the little peach. In the eyes of the cultivators, of course they can't see your hand, but the lack of movement makes them even more hesitant and scared. Is this a trap to lure us out? With their fear and the shock from what just happened, you successfully get the little peach. All the cultivators can do is watch helplessly. The little peach is picked by an invisible hand, then flies up to the sky until it completely disappears from sight. What a pity, sigh. What I gain is my fortune. What I lose is my fate. I wonder what powerful cultivator is sitting beyond the sky. After this incident, this place will definitely be no ordinary spot. All the cultivators are pretty dejected. Discussing among themselves, they completely give up any ideas they had. They look at the peach tree with regret and fear. Then they get ready to leave. Some of them want to take their anger out on the demonic sect people. But when they turn around, they find all the demonic sect people have already run off, only shadows left. Back in the real world, you pulled a little all-nighter, but you're super energetic right now. This peach appeared completely out of the blue, and getting it was full of twists and turns. Good thing I bought a pickup mic beforehand. Otherwise, I would have missed it. Luckily, no major problems popped up. Alright, back to the point. The moment you take out this tiny peach, you smell a strong but not cloying, refreshing peach fragrance. Also, there's a very important feature. This peach counts as a native growth of that small world. You don't know if that's the reason. After you take it out to the real world, it doesn't change like the green jujube did. Should I eat it now? You look at the little peach in your hand. Hesitation rises in your heart. You don't have a cultivation technique yet. If you eat it now, most of the energy in this little peach will just dissipate eventually, that's for sure. But it's exactly this moment of hesitation that makes you notice a mountain peak in that small world. Leng Si on the peak furrows her brow slightly and sighs softly. Her originally rosy face suddenly turns a little pale, then quickly flushes bright red again. The disciple next to the sect leader notices something's off with her. It's nothing serious. Leng Si shakes her head and orders, "Get ready to return to the mountain." "Oh, right. Let's stop by that small village first." "Yes, sect leader." The female disciple controls the large flying sword everyone stands on and heads for the small village. After landing, Leng Si walks to a farmer's house. It's exactly the house where Yang Xinyu lives. Earlier, she noticed that the little girl, that is, Yang Xinyue, had something special about her. She didn't have time to look into it before, so now is the perfect time to check. Also, the snowflake protection array she set up blocks all detection, so no one else has noticed. When they reach the front of the house, before Leng Si can reach out to knock, a weathered elderly couple opens the door first and says nervously and respectfully, "Fairy." Leng Si nods slightly and says, "I came here to see your child." The old couple is stunned for a moment. Then joy gradually spreads across their faces. Could it be that their daughter has immortal cultivation aptitude? Come in, come in. Please come in, Fairy." The middle-aged man steps aside excitedly. The old woman suddenly realizes something. "Wait, no. Where? Come out to greet the guest quickly." The immortal made such a big commotion tonight. Yang Xinyue was already woken up, and her injuries are fully healed. Hearing her father's call, she hurries out running. She just lifts her head to look at Leng Si, but quickly turns to look the other way. Looking up at the sky, "Immortal, such a huge immortal!" Yang Xinyue's pupils shrink and exclaims out loud, then quickly closes her eyes. She obviously already knows. She can't look directly at you. Leng Si is super confused. Can't help but look down at herself. She can't see her feet. But she quickly realizes what's going on, even though Yang Xinyue has her eyes closed. The direction her little face faces is clearly not towards her. Confused, she also lifts her head to look at the sky. As all the cultivators leave, the night returns to silence and darkness. In the sky, there are only clouds, mist, and bright stars beyond the sky. Nothing else is there. She looks at Yang Xinyue's parents. The old couple are also totally confused. "Little girl, what are you talking about?" "Why are your eyes closed?" Leng Si can't help but frown and ask. Yang Xinyue still has her eyes closed and replies, "Immortal. Such a huge immortal. He's in the sky, I can't look at him. It's so bright." Leng Si ponders. A lot of guesses pop up in her mind. Could it be the great power that took the natural treasure in the basin? We can't see anything in the sky. Could it be beyond the sky? This sudden thought that pops into her head makes Leng Si take a deep breath. She can't help trembling a little. No one knows what's wrong with the cultivation world nowadays. Spiritual energy is getting more and more scarce. Cultivation progress is extremely slow. Golden Core Realm cultivators are already sect leaders. Anyone above that realm appears and disappears unpredictably, and are extremely hard to meet. So how powerful must this cultivator, sitting cross-legged high in the sky, be, just as she's shocked in her heart? She hears a grand, vast voice ring out. Leng Si can't understand it, but she recognizes the voice. It's exactly the being that didn't show up in the basin earlier. "Little girl, can you understand what I'm saying?" That's obviously you, of course. You were originally hesitating whether to eat the little peach. Out of the corner of your eye, you saw Leng Si go to the small village to look for Yang Xinyue. That's what sparked your curiosity. When you saw Yang Xinyue come out and confirmed once again that she can see you, you naturally act right away. The little girl Yang Xinyue is acting a little weird. She doesn't say she can't understand, but she doesn't look confused either. Instead, she's furrowing her little brows. looking like she's thinking really hard. You're far away and have no perception ability. But Leng Shi, who's right in front of Yang Xinyue, suddenly changes her expression. Something's wrong, very wrong. Leng Xi's heart almost skips a beat. With her powerful golden core realm strength, she feels a mysterious, inexplicable opportunity appear. Right on Yang Xinyue. This kind of opportunity is the Tao, the opportunity of the great Tao of laws. It sounds extremely mysterious, but everything in this world, like thunderclouds bringing rain, the sun rising, moon setting, all movements of all things, are part of the Tao and all have traces to follow. But for it to appear on a little girl, it's still way too unbelievable. But this opportunity didn't last very long. After about 2 or 3 breaths of time, it could no longer be sensed. Leng Shi even thought for a second her spiritual sense was wrong. It can't be an illusion. This little girl is definitely not ordinary. What kind of connection does she have with the immortal in the sky she mentioned? Messy thoughts ran through Leng Shi's mind, but she didn't say anything. She just stood there frowning. The immortal beyond the heavens is speaking. God knows what they're saying. And right after the great Tao opportunity that Leng Shi sensed faded away, the confusion on Yang Xinyue's face disappeared. She nodded her little head and said, "Immortal, I can understand. Can you really understand me?" Even though it's a bit sudden and a little confusing, you can barely contain your excitement. Looking at Leng Shi standing silently off to the side, looking a little dazed, in your head, you thought of a way to get the cultivation method almost instantly. You quickly ran to the fridge to pick something out, then grabbed 5 grapes. Looking at how Leng Shi acts, she probably cultivates ice-type arts. Grapes are cold in nature per traditional Chinese medicine theory. Not sure if that rule applies here. We'll just try it even if it's a long shot. Hope it's enough to tempt Leng Shi. Then you quickly went to the riverbank, put the grapes down, right in front of Leng Shi, Yang Xinyue, and the others. When they saw the grapes appear out of nowhere, everyone had a confused look on their face. What is this? It looks like grapes. But why are they so big? Ordinary people like Yang Xinyue only thought the grapes were extra big. But Leng Shi, her disciples, and all the other cultivators noticed something different about them. They could all sense that inside these 4 head-sized grapes, there is surging energy contained, and the grapes have already started to sublime, drawing in massive amounts of spiritual energy from the air. This kind of fluctuation, so the frequent spiritual energy shocks in this mountain range, were all caused by that great power beyond the heavens. Leng Shi could no longer keep her usual cold and calm expression. Her eyes went wide. Her pressed pink lips even parted open. The rest of the disciples also realized what was going on. All of them were instantly full of shock and gasped in cold air. No one ever expected that. The thing all forces are fighting over, that the demonic, monster, and immortal paths all covet, was actually created by someone on purpose. It smells so good. In the middle of the silence, it was the young and naive Yang Xinyue who broke the quiet. She had a greedy look on her face, swallowing her saliva. She smiled and spoke in a soft voice. "Little girl, open your eyes." Who knew after Yang Xinyue let out an ah? She said awkwardly, "Immortal." Xinyue's eyes will hurt so bad if I do that, seeing her still talking with her head tilted up. You don't know whether to laugh or cry. You lowered your head. Open your eyes, don't look up. Yang Xinyue obeyed obediently. After she lowered her head and opened her eyes, she immediately widened her eyes, her face full of confusion and bewilderment. They looked so pretty. "I want to eat them so bad." That full desire was written all over her little face. "You found her extremely adorable. You can take 2 and do whatever you want with them. I need you to help me pass the rest. To the woman next to you. I want to make a deal with her.